sit.
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm still Rich. He's still Garrett.
Hey.
And Matt's still...
I did Matt say hey. It didn't feel right. Didn't feel right.
Oh, it's funny because we recorded shows like literally back to back.
Yeah.
We're
introducing each other to each other.
Yeah, it's like a brand new day. Meanwhile, sometimes we'll have like a 15, 20-minute break. Who knows what we can start talking about? We end up start watching episodes.
We have done stuff like that before. We're like, we should probably record now.
So, obviously, if you listen to yesterday's episode, a little shorter, it's just Garrett and I. But, it's Dynasty Hot Boy Summer. We got to sweat out there. So, today's episode, Garrett, please explain what we're talking about, because I am just going to be reacting to what you're saying.
Gasp.
I really don't know what's going on around here right now.
All right. Well, we're going to be talking about age cliffs today, because this is something that I feel like is a very common discussion in Dynasty, where it's like, what time should we be getting out from certain players? Should we be worried about age? Are there positions that are more prone to shorter shelf lives than other positions? And so I know instinctually, I think a lot of Dynasty players, if you've been playing for multiple years, you know generally some of this. But I wanted to see, what's the hard data actually tell me?
I don't think people who have been playing for a while do know this, Garrett.
They may not.
I think no matter what, I think for most Dynasty players, I would say 75%. Again, this is me just making stuff up.
Yeah.
That's what I could do.
Hey, 60% of all stats are made up.
This is the number. 75% of people, when people start hitting 28, they start to panic. And
no matter what.
And I would say, not panic, they start to ooh, this is like an issue. He's 28 now.
Almost regardless of position.
And I would say at 29, 82% of all Dynasty players start to go, dude, he's 29. I can't get there.
I can't wait for someone to actually quote this with those numbers you just gave.
It's like when this dude Lima for the Cavs thing, he's like, this is how many people were at the parade. He just made up a number. And it went nationwide. That was how many people were at the
Everyone knows it as
Cavs
the number
parade.
now.
So, and then by the age of 30, 92% of all Dynasty owners think that player is
Dead meat.
You can't get a first for him unless he's a quarterback. You can't pay a first. Here's the response all the time. And I've said this as well. Dude, I can't pay a first for a 30-year-old X. I can't play a receiver, tight end. Well, tight end maybe a little bit more lean.
We'll talk about tight end. Tight end's interesting.
Yeah. So, loose ends, tight ends. Ooh, let's get sexy with it. So let's go out. Where are you starting?
All right, we'll start at quarterback. We'll start at quarterback and work our way down.
Yeah, because these guys have been playing a lot longer at a high level.
They have. And so what I wanted to know was a few different things. First, I went through all the players of the past 10 seasons.
100% of them?
100% of the players that were in certain percentiles. So for quarterback, these were all the quarterbacks that finished as a top 24 quarterback.
Okay.
So every single one from 2016 through the 2025 season. So 10-year sample size. And I tracked what's their points per game over the course of the season. And but they had to have played a minimum of 8 games. Because I didn't want, you always get those weird, guy only played 3 games, but he averaged 28 points a game. And you're like, skews the data.
Yeah. Thank God so many sites started adding minimum games.
Yes.
Fantasy Pros, how many minimum games?
And that's how I got it, honestly. Yeah. I put for all of these minimum of 8 games. So you had to play half the season. If you played half the season, you were helpful to your team.
You matter.
Yes. So 8 games. So and there were even some others that I looked and I was like, oh, they only played 7 that year. I want to get them in the data set, but I needed a hard cutoff somewhere. So it was 8 games. That was kind of my hard cutoff. But where did they finish in points per game over the course of their seasons at certain ages? So, Patrick Mahomes' data will have some of his from his early on, 23-year-old seasons to now 30-year-old seasons. And how did he do during that time and all that? So I wanted to get all that. So I wanted to see, how do points per game correlate to certain ages? Are there certain ages where guys are scoring higher points per game than other ages? B, what percent of players in that age range are in the top 6 or are in the top 12 or in the top 24? Are, on average, 6 of the top 12 guys typically under the age of 25? Or is that a fallacy? I wanted to know, how are guys really doing based on their age? So
yeah, definitely for a quarterback, because you think the younger guys are going to rush more, which is going to bump up their numbers, where like the older guys are going to be able to throw the football for more yards.
Exactly. So let's start off with the quarterback position. And looking at points per game, here's our age ranges, basically 23 and under. Then I have 24 to 26, 27 to 29, 30 to 32, 33 to 35, and then 36 and over is kind of the age ranges I was working with at quarterback. The highest points per game at quarterback.
I guess.
Yes, please guess. So you want to get the age ranges again?
Yes.
23 and under.
Okay.
24 to 26, 27 to 29, 32 or 30 to 32, 33 through 35, and then 36.
27 to 29.
That is not true, actually.
Okay.
It's good. The highest is the 24 to 26 year olds is actually the highest scoring.
And I would guess because of the Russian upside.
The rushing is where you get a lot of those guys. So that is the highest points per game is at the 24 to 26 year old range. The second highest is actually 23 and under. Now, we have less of those guys, but usually if those young guys are getting in to the top 24, it's A, because they're playing, but B, they're running the ball a lot. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the interesting takeaways for me is actually our highest scorers are 26 and under at the quarterback position. However, the gap isn't crazy huge. And the difference between once you get to 27 and guys that are 36 plus, it's almost a flat line, Rich.
Really?
It's almost a flat line. Here's the points per game at that point from 27 on. So 27 to 29, 18.1 points per game. 30 to 32, 17.86. So we'll round it up to 17.9. 33 to 35, 17.9. 36 and up, 17.9. So basically from that age on, you're somewhere between 18.1 and 17.86 points per game. So really, you don't see a huge spike, but you also don't see a huge drop off from quarterbacks from age 27 on average. So the age cliff for quarterback is really, I think, more of a question of can they continue to be the starter? Yes or no? If the answer to that question is yes, I'm not worried.
Goes back to our Dak Prescott argument.
Yes.
Like there's a good chance Dak Prescott's going to be a starter and quarterback for the next 5 years in the NFL. That holds a lot of value because 5 years is a lifetime in Dynasty. A Jared Goff right now, who's also younger than Dak Prescott.
He
out
is.
there as well. Like it's always been, I've always loved, we've talked about this like over years too. Mm-hmm. Guys back in the day, like, dude, those 30-year-old quarterbacks that come like at a slight discount, 31, 32, like when people are kind of running away, like, oh, dude, can I get 3 to 4 more years out of this guy? Mm-hmm. And it's nice now to know that like the points behind it are, oh, I'm getting the same amount as like Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
right?
guys, exactly. Those 27, 28, 29-year-old guys are not scoring any different than guys that are 34, 35, 36, 37. Like it's the same. It's, hey, can you be the starter for your team? Mm-hmm. Yes or no? If you think that answer is yes, go after that quarterback because the value is not any different points per game wise from a 28-year-old quarterback to a 36-year-old quarterback.
So you're basically just hunting down years here. Like
how down years.
What is my year? Because and we know like even youth isn't always the answer, right? We see guys like Tua, Penix, Kyler Murray. We're like, oh, this guy's only 26, but like, there's some red flags here. Like then you get guys that are like, that's why we talk about a guy like Justin Herbert. And I think this holds true for like one, why Pat Mahomes still, we talked about this before, like why Mahomes hold value because he be a pocket pass for a long time.
Yep.
I think it also holds true for a guy like Justin Herbert, right? And as I was kind of against why like the sell on him yesterday or last week, I'm sorry, was like I think Herbert is gonna be a starting quarterback for the next 10 years, right?
Sure.
Like he's not a rushing quarterback and he's got the arm to last for a long time. Same thing with a guy like a Josh Allen.
Sure.
Even when Josh Allen loses his rushing upside a little bit, he's still going to be a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Like he's going to go from that number one dominant all-star great to maybe
17 and a half, 18 points a game.
But durable. Yeah. And when he takes that step back, you're like, oh, dude, I don't want Josh Allen a little bit. Or when Justin Herbert hits 33, 34, like, I don't know. But, dude, he's got the arm to get it done. And as we see this progresses more and more every single year, we could be looking at guys that are playing when they're 40 pretty consistently now at a high level when these quarterbacks are making $75 million a year at that point. So those are good numbers to know. And this is little information. We were talking about like last year, like, oh, how do I get 5% better at Dynasty? Yeah. It's like little nuggets like that in the back of your mind that you know, like, okay, this is real value here. Like, and we talked, like I said, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, we've kind of run that to the ground. Like, hey, man, if you're looking for a quarterback that's affordable, these are the guys to go get, right? Like, yes, they don't offer rushing upside, but they're going to throw the football. And now the numbers do correlate saying, hey, who cares if they don't rush, right? Like, they have Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Amon Ra catching the ball. He's got Javonte Williams, Jake Ferguson, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens catching the ball. It kind of shows the upside. And even to this day, a guy who's at like 38, like a guy like Matt Stafford, who just drafted Ty Simpson in the first round. You probably got 2 years of Matt Stafford, right? Yeah. That's 24 months. That's back-to-back championships you can go out and give like a late pick for a guy like Matt Stafford. People are like, he's done. He's washed it any year. It always goes back to my argument when I want to buy and sell Christian McCaffrey. I'm like, dude, he's older. He's injury prone. It's like, has he shown you any signs of like slowing down? You know, like at all? Like Derrick Henry, 32 years old, still running out there crushing it. It's just a different age of football right now. It's kind of adapting to that. So I love that quarterback stat. Where you go next?
So, well, I want to finish up quarterback because we got a little bit more because I also wanted to know how many of these guys are we getting inside the top 6, top 12, top 24? Because I think that also tells us a little bit too. Because if we say, hey, they're scoring about the same amount of points, but we really only have like 2 guys that have just kind of carried those numbers forever, is it a little bit misleading? So here's the percentage of guys in the top 6. The highest percentage is that 24 to 26 as well. So if you really want those high-end guys, we're seeing the most of them in the top 6. So that means we're looking at 2 to 3 of them every year of those guys in the top 6 are 24 to 26-year-old
So we're looking
quarterbacks.
at Drake May, Caleb Williams.
Exactly. Those guys like, right now.
Who's not Bo Nix. He's too old.
He's too old.
These guys got to enter that range and come out here. Okay.
So nearly 40% come from that group.
The youth. Jaden Daniels could fall in that category.
Jaden Daniels could as well. So that's the highest. The second highest is at 27 to 29. We see 17.2. 13.8 is the 22 to 23-year-olds. Then it does start to drop off a little bit, and so we have fewer of those guys. But that's kind of going back to my argument of the question isn't like how are they great or not. The question is more so, can they keep the job? Because the guys that are playing at 32, 33, 34, 35, those guys are just consistently keeping their job. What falls off here is the guys that start to lose jobs at the Tuas and guys like that got their shot early but lose it. So you see it kind of flatline there as well. 12.1% of guys are 30 to 32, 8.6 and 8.6 for the other 2 groups. So we still have nearly 30% of guys are 30 and older that are inside the top 6.
And you're saying top 6.
This is just top 6.
And that's just top 6, which is like the elite of the elites, right? Yep. Those are the highest scoring fantasy point getters in all fantasy football. So I kind of want to go back to the reference point of like, remember, like you just really need a top 16 overall scoring quarterback because when you do, you have a top pretty much 50 overall scorer. So that was, if you're averaging 18 points per game, again, that's an elite wide receiver, right?
And the numbers are even better for those old guys in the top 12 because it's 15% of those guys are 30 to 32. 8.4, 30 to 30, 33 to 35, and over 10% are actually 36 plus. You think of a lot of the guys recently, we mentioned Matthew Stafford last year, but we saw guys like Matt Ryan, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady. All these guys have been older players that have been inside the top 12. So, you know, at that point, you're looking at, 30, what would that be? 25, 33% of guys. So a third are over the age of 30 inside the top 12. So you're still able to get a fairly elite asset of a quarterback even at those accelerated ages. So I think this was the most clear positive for the older guys. And anti-age cliff was the quarterback position.
It's pretty clear today. And I think it kind of shows you too, like, well, we were talking about this, I think, like 2 weeks ago. And it goes back to like, yes, it's nice having the number 1 guy, right? It's nice having Drake May. It's nice having Bijan. But let's take it to quarterback, like a guy like Drake May. It's great having a guy like Drake May, right? But our goal here playing Dynasty is not to have the best looking name or do I have Drake May and Bijan? I'm like, oh, dude, that's sweet. Our goal is to put together a championship caliber roster. So what it tells me, Garrett, is if I could turn Drake May into Dak Prescott and Jared Goff, and honestly, that might open a door for the right maneuver to even get some plus on top.
Might.
Like, say you did a rebuild, right? And it's all come together. Like the running backs, you hit on all three receivers. You got Brock Bowers too. You're like, but you got Drake May, but your quarterback too is like Tua. Hey, I can move Drake May and then throw in Tua, for example, like Drake May and Tua. Again, this is making up stuff for old quarterbacks. I'm going to use Jared Goff. Somebody good. Brock Purdy's too young, but Dak Prescott, you get both those guys, bring those guys in, and maybe get something else on top. Now you have a championship caliber team.
The Nerd Herd league I told you about last week that we just did the draft and all that, and I ended up trading Drake May. And I think I called you right after I traded him, and I was able to get Brock Purdy 27 and 28 first. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, that's so sexy, as much as I love, and I think Drake May's a stud. This is not an anti-Drake May thing. It is just there is so much value later at quarterback right now than I think we've had in a while. And so, and it's only going to get better because we're going to be adding more players to it. So if I can tear down, I really think that's the ticket.
We said it during Tear Down episode, those players are privileges and perks when you have a good team. They are a difference maker then. But like sometimes those are the players you have to move to get the team that you want to win. Because like it's not always the sexiest team on paper that wins ships. I've seen it 100 times. These teams that look so sexy on paper just get beat by a team. You're like, oh, that team won? Because they're Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Quinshon Judkins, Javonte Williams. Like, they're just solid teams all around. And you know the guy who's averaging 22 points per game, but you got a full team full of guys averaging 16.5 points per game. Yep. And that's what matters the most.
Absolutely. Well, let's go to the running back position now. Running back, running back's interesting to me. So the highest points per game are actually the 23 and under group.
That doesn't surprise me.
I thought it was going to be the 24 to 26.
Really?
I thought it would be.
See, I think it's because these guys come in at 21 years old, sometimes 22, and they're getting all the touches. They're healthy. It's before they usually get hurt.
Yep.
They're getting used a ton, right, on their first contract. So that I would have guessed the lowest age.
And that was the lowest bracket, possible. The 21 to 23. Averaging 15.32 points per game. Now, these are all guys that were inside the top 36 for points per game, minimum of 8 games.
Yeah, I think this age, I think the running back ones are going to be a little funny no matter what because, like I said, it's going to be younger. It's going to go down as you go up no matter what. Because, one, it's the young guys are on the first-year contracts, so they're going to get all the touches. NFL teams are so reluctant to pay guys second time around. And usually the guys that do get paid are like guys that like the Keenan Mitchells who come in like, oh, they got paid $10 million.
Sure.
Which is shout out. Like it goes to show you too, like how talented a guy like and how great of an athlete a guy like Keenan Mitchell is, right?
Yeah.
From fantasy or something like that, like this, nobody. He just got paid he's already got money, right? He just got paid $10 million. Like, dude, we won't make that in our entire life, right? Like, but we're like, oh, Keenan Mitchell, he's a you hear a guy, oh, Keenan Mitchell, I'm not buying him, he's a bum. Somebody's picking him $10 million for 2 years just to run a football for him, right? And Case. So, I think the running back one is like there's so much working against the running back. And that's why, again, it's the most fluid position on my Dynasty roster. But go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. So then 24 to 26, it drops from 15.3 points a game to 14.7. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of a drop, but not much.
I'll take it. Put it on my roster. Give it to me.
The thing that was actually encouraging to me was the 27 to 29-year-old range because I think previously people have been kind of like, after age 26, I don't know, I might need to get out. I might need to start working out. The 27 to 29 has actually been pretty successful, still averaging 14.42 points per game.
Oh, wow.
And so only a point less than the 23 to 21-year-old group.
At a drastic discount.
Now,
but again, short window. Like you're on a game-to-game basis here.
Right.
The next year's certainly not promised. But again, I think if you play Dynasty with that mindset on, say, 80% of the running backs, then you're in a fine place. Because it's such a small running back that you should ever look at. Like, this is a long-term asset. There's not many out there that you consider long-term assets. And even some of the guys you do consider long-term assets are like unproven guys, right? Like Quinshon Judkins, Trayvon Henderson, Mario and Hampton, right? Like you consider those guys, those are long-term assets in a pool of like not a lot of them. They're unproven guys even. So that does make sense. And like, again, another aspect of Dynasty I've talked about, like I love trading for like who's the running back now, right? Like the veteran. I think when you're a contender, it's the best move you can is just trading for those guys like that have 2 years left. I've said it every year. Like if you keep trading for a guy every year, like a first round pick that has people say argumentatively 2 years left, when they go, oh, he's only got 2 years left, when he could have more because that's his age 30 season potentially. Like if you do that every year, you're adding on to your championship caliber window by proven assets. When you're adding the Terry McLaurins, when you're adding the Saquon Barkleys, the Christian McCaffreys, like, okay, yeah, he might have a year, but he might have 2, he might have 3. Okay, if I buy him, then buy another guy for next year at the same price point, who's got 2-3 years, I just got 2 really good players for the next 3 years, right? That, on a team where hopefully, at least, probably, at least probably, certainly 99%.
60% of the time, it works every time.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you live if you can live in this 36-month window, which is like usually our max window we want to look out and project anyways, like, if you had that player in your roster, you do that back to, hey, I gave my 27 first for this player. I gave up my 28 first for this player. Like, yeah, but dude, that's so dumb. You gave up 2 firsts for these old guys. Okay, guess what? Then they're going to get off my roster. And then in 2029, I'm going to rebuild. I'm going to have these really high draft picks, and I'll sell all the guys who are now
if you could use your first round pick on a player, hypothetically, and obviously it has to hit.
Barkley.
You have to hit
28, right?
Right. Perfect example. If you were to be able to use your first round pick on a guy that you would say, hey, you're going to draft whoever it is, you're going to draft this guy and he's going to be an RB1 for you for the next 2 seasons, but that's all you're getting out of him. Would you say that that's a good player to draft?
I'm drafting him. Yeah,
exactly. And so that's the thing. Like, that's the hard part is like, I get it when people are like, well, I don't know how much longer I'll have with him. And yes, there are times that you need to maximize value. You're working the markets and all that kind of stuff. But if we really slow down in a second and say, I think sometimes we drift way too far from redraft where we need to be a little closer to those, I'm not playing beyond 3 years. I really don't care.
They take Dynasty. They think like they really
I need a 5 to 10 year window,
which is insane to get. I mean, again, if you just go back 6 years, go
3.
Go back 5 years, 4 years, and look at the top 24 overall scores at each position.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, I forgot about that player existed. Oh, he's been retired. You know what I mean? Like, you're right. There's such few of those guys out there.
And if you get one, great.
But even those guys aren't guaranteed. Like, look at what Justin Jefferson sits today. And I think he's undervalued drastically today. You know what I mean? But like, look at you don't know. You don't know when somebody's going to break a leg, when a system changes.
Look at the 2024 class. The Romo Dunze, Marvin Harrison, Brian Thomas Jr. You're walking away from that draft, and especially after year like one, you're like, oh my gosh, look at all these players. And today you're like, I don't know what to do with half these guys. Like, none of them are sure things.
Yeah, you're like, dude, I wish I had Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
So
be great.
Before we go, wait, are you still going running back?
Let me finish up the running back, and then we'll do that.
Yeah.
27 to 29, like I said, 14.2, so not even a full point less. 32 and 30 to 32, it does drop off quite a bit, 13 points per game. And then you're looking at
30 to 32.
30 to 32, you're looking at
13 points per game?
For guys that are in the top 36.
Yeah, I mean, fair. There's only a couple guys even out there.
There's not many. Only 4.7% of them ever get in the top 6. But even in the top 24.
And to be fair, you got like Raheem Mostert year, you got Derrick Henry skewing numbers
exactly.
out there.
And even in the top 24, you only ever get 8% of guys 30 or over in that group.
And I think it's kind of irrelevant anyways because there's so few of them. You know who's working, what's not. And the price tag on those guys are so short.
The interesting thing is, though, the percentage of running backs that are aged 27 to 29 and the percentage of running backs that are 21 to 23 in these groups are very similar. Very similar. So in top 24% of running backs over this 10-year period, in the 21 to 23-year-old group, made up about 23.9%. So 24%. Made up about 24% of the top 24 running backs.
The 21
to 23-year-olds. 24% of those guys were in that age range. 25.8% were in the 27 to 29-year-old. So we actually have more guys in the top 24 that are 27 to 29 years old than we do 21 to 23.
Wow. It kind of goes back to our data point show saying, like, how many guys even reproduce at that numbers anyways.
Exactly. Top 12, almost identical again, 26 to 25%. Little higher in the top 6 because you have those elite outliers. Mm-hmm. So 29.7 for the 21, 23-year-olds. And then the 27 to 29 is only 25%. Yeah. But still not far off. The biggest group of all of those is the 24 to 26. That's the prime window of a running back.
I love these numbers because they're all kind of going back to just prove that I've been playing Dynasty the right way.
I know what I'm talking about.
23 years.
Your assumptions were right.
It really does. It just kind of, again, use the market against itself, right? Like, and that's the thing you have to think of too. Like, if everybody perceives the value one way, you really have to look at it a different way. It's why, like, some people yell me on X or I'm like, dude, you're neat. You know what you're talking about. Like, what? Because I'm not playing this. I don't have the same opinion as you. And I'm going to take a risk going this way. Yep. Because you have to. Like, you can't find value is like buying low and sell. You know, like, if everybody, he's only high because everybody thinks one way, right? Like, that's how it works. So I love these numbers so far. Before we go on to the receivers and tight ends, I got to tell you guys about myffpc.com. You want to use a lot of this information to your benefit and be a better Dynasty player and dominate long-term, or more importantly, in this 2 to 3 year window to win that money. MyFFPC has got a new Dynasty league for you, right? Like, use this information. Like, you know what? I'm going to draft these young receivers and running backs early. I'm going to wait on quarterback a little bit, and I'll figure it out later. MyFFPC's got a new startup for you. Get over there right now. They'll have a super flex tight end premium, tri flex, standard, whatever you want to play. At any price point, anywhere from $75 to $3,000, you can find yourself a league. Check them out, myffpc.com. Use the promo code NERDS. You're going to get $25 off any league you join. And remember, a league is never folded at myffpc.com.
All right. Before we get into the wide receiver ones, I did want to give a shout out to Andrew Mott. He's been doing some research on some of the same kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so he had some information on this too. Check out his video on this as well. But let's go into the wide receiver. And wide receiver was interesting to me. My favorite's actually tight end, so we're saving the best for last. Okay. But wide receiver is interesting to me because it mimics more of the running back than I thought it was going to.
So it is a young, because I would have guessed the 25 to 27 range would be the peak receiver.
It technically is.
Okay.
But I'll explain why they kind of mimic each other. So you're right. 24 to 26 is actually the peak. Barely.
I said 25 to 27.
Oh, sorry. Well, that's not a range. 24 to 26.
But take those two games. Yeah.
Put them together. Okay. That is technically the highest at 15.35 points per game. But the overall points per game, this is where it doesn't mimic running back, but I'll get to the part where it does. Receiver is very flat overall. 21 to 23, 15.06. Then we have at 24 to 26, the highest, 15.35. 27 to 29, 15.1. 30 to 32, 15.04. And then 33 plus, which is very few guys, but 14.83. Receiver is flat.
It's just who's the guy on their team catching football.
It is extremely, it's the flattest of all of the positions. Age doesn't really matter. It's extremely flat.
I think that makes sense too. Before sorry to interrupt, but
no, you're good.
Because as these guys get older, it really goes to show who's talented, who's the number one on their team, right? Like, you got guys go back for 2 years ago, like Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, even throw a guy like Keenan Allen in that mix, right? Like, those guys are still going to produce because they're still getting paid. They're the number one guys on their team. They're just a little bit older, right? Yep. And you get some of these young guys that are coming in, and we've seen them early on, studs. You get the guys fighting for second contracts that are really good. So I think that makes sense as well. And it comes down to okay, who's in the right system, who tied to a good quarterback, getting thrown the football, right?
Absolutely.
I think it really boils down to that.
100%.
What do you want?
100%. So there's definitely, if you get one of these guys that is going to be involved in an offense, you can expect the points per game to be pretty much flat, whether it's a 22-year-old or a 30-year-old. It's going to be pretty flat production-wise on average. Here's where it kind of mimics a little bit of running back. you have an extremely heavy chunk in the 21 to 29-year-old range. But
29?
To 29.
Okay.
Yep. So I just kind of put all three of those groups together. Yeah. And then it falls off a cliff. Number of players that are inside the top 24 or top 12 or top 6 falls off a cliff after 29. So this is what this tells me.
So this says like 30-year-old receivers run for the hills?
It's if you have a good one, they'll be fine. They're not going to fall off. However, there's just very, very few of them, which is the same thing at running back. There's very few that we have after 29 playing at all inside the top 36. They might still be on teams and on rosters, but they're not scoring. They're not a top, a wide receiver 3 or better. They're just not. So I think that's the thing for me where when we talk about wide receivers and running backs and the shelf life being so much longer for receiver, I don't think it really is. It's almost identical. So when you see basically top 24, percentage of top 24 players at running back, age 30 and on, you're looking at 10% of players inside the top 24 at running back. At wide receiver, it's 15% of wide receivers.
5% more.
So only 5% more are inside the top 24.
But you're also starting, there's also more receiving options than running back, so it shows you running back is more valuable. So this data point kind of tells you like.
So I wouldn't stress as much about the age of my running back and like feeling like I have to get the young receiver because A, they're going to score about the same amount of points forever.
Yeah.
And B, their life expectancy really isn't that much different. You have a few outliers, Devontae Adams, but we're having that at running back now too with CMC and Derrick Henry and guys like that. We have outliers too. So I think the narrative of these wide receivers' shelf lives are so much longer than running back is more or less a fallacy. Their shelf life is about the same.
And I would say some of these, like, obviously it all comes down to contract, right? But like some of these receivers get these contracts and it's crazy money. And the last couple of years of those contracts are for Ghazi, and that's where they're making the big money. So these guys get cut, just because. Yeah. And they're still even like a fine receiver. But then all of a sudden you get cut because you're not making as much. They go somewhere else, and they're just not as efficient in the same offense, right? And they're kind of on the move a little bit. So I think even though like the receivers might get longer contracts, it's about paying attention to the guaranteed money and the back end of the money. Because like you got some of these running backs that come in at this age, 27, 28, they're making $8 million a year, $9 million, which is really good for a running back.
Right.
But for a team that's nothing.
It's nothing.
It's 5% of our total.
So they might be willing to hold on to a 27, 28-year-old running back, an Aaron Jones, a little longer than they will.
A guy comes back like Aaron Jones. He can't produce, so it's just about touches. So it's funny, again, we did that show that shows receivers and running backs are a lot more closer to dynasty value than the public perceives. Mm-hmm. And then this data point almost says the same thing.
Yeah, it's basically saying, like, don't stress as much about age of running back unless you're going to be as equally worried about receiver, because their shelf life really is till about 29 years old. The few receivers that do it longer might still produce about the same, but there's not many of them. It's very, very few. 85% of those guys, their career for fantasy purposes are done at
and most
29.
do stop right around there.
90% of running backs are done at 30 that produced at some point, and 85% of receivers. So it's a 5% difference. So to me, that only encourages me to draft those young running backs early, because look at the points per game. 15.3, 14.71 of those young running backs. Receiver, their points per game it's always 15. It's just always 15. It just doesn't matter what age they are. They're just always 14. Whereas these old, running backs are now down into the 13s and all. They're going to drop off in points. I just think those young running back values are just so much higher, where I'll wait and I'll draft the Jalen Waddles and I'll draft the, those types of guys over and over.
You know what? Here's a counterpoint I would make to that, though. I bet the age numbers, you're right. I think when you put a name to that, I think there's going to be way more continuity to the receiver than there is to running back. You know what I mean? The numbers are close, but I bet there's a lot more running backs that you're going to see listed like in that when you look at the top 24, right? Oh yeah, the points per game are close, the same. Because again, a receiver, top 24, the receivers, it's all going to probably be pretty close to that number. I bet when you look at it, a lot of the names are going to be pretty, like you're going to see more redundancy compared to the running backs. You'll see a lot more.
That's interesting. I could do that study because I have all of the names of these guys. So I could go back and look and see like how often did they repeat? Because that's the running back one. And here's the wide receiver one. So I could go back and see like the frequency of these guys or not.
Because you get a lot of those. I think you just get a lot of those receivers that are like, we were talking before, like the Brian Hartlines, the Robert Woods, that are like real consistent guys that finish in the top 24, but like they're not darlings. They're never going to be wide receiver ones, but they're still they're under the real value in fantasy that nobody wants. And we mentioned a guy like Dak Prescott again, that kind of slowly falling into that category. So I would be intrigued, like down the road, maybe like to bring that back. Don't rush it, no time, but like
sure, but something else to throw in.
How often it is that changes, like because I always call the running back position the most fluid. So you might get a guy like, for example, like he shows up Kareem Hunt all of a sudden, like for the Browns because Nick Chubb goes down, he produces, and then Kareem Hunt shows up on the Chiefs, and he scores all touchdowns. He pops in there. Like how often those names come and go.
Compared to the Adam Humphreys that, because like there's one Adam Humphrey in here. There's one like how frequent are those guys compared to the running back?
Which those guys, we have like one guy here and there where the running back at running back 2 has multiple guys that are like PPR guys or Mike Davises that kind of pop in because
Tariq Cohen.
They flow through Tariq Cohen, like there's so many of those guys. Like
it'd be interesting to see
Sheila
the total
Hubbard
names.
Fill in there, you know what I mean?
Because I did top 36 for all of those, and then I saw how many were inside the top 24 and all that. So it's the same kind of sample size. So I could find that out. Would you
guess so? Like at the top of your head, like you think it'd be a little like
I don't know. I really don't. Because I went through and I added the ages because the easiest way for me to do it was I would go through and I would do it alphabetically. And so I would look up like Christian McCaffrey and I'd see in 2025, he was age 9. And then I was able to easily pull down like, okay, then he was 20, able to pull down. And then I would have to like single out and try to find like certain names like, oh, Darrell Henderson Jr. Okay, I got to go find him, So those ones I would have to like seek out.
You probably have to more to seek out like the singular line names compared to it. I just bet it's a little, again, it's probably not that drastic. I would
probably
say
not, but it would be interesting. And it's always those tidbits that I do find interesting. So let's go to the final one.
All right.
I think arguably.
I got a guess on this too.
You got a guess? All right. What do you got? What's your guess?
At tight end, what are the age ranges?
Same age ranges as the running back and receiver. So 21 to 23, 24 to 26, 27 to 29, 30, 32, and then 33 and up.
I'm.
Are you guessing points per game?
I'm going, they're best. I'm going either 27, 29, or 30 and up.
You've actually picked the top 2.
Yeah, I would. Again, because the tight end position takes so long to develop because there's so much they have to learn in that system. We see, it's kind of a big point. I said Dallas Goedert at 30 years old is like totally up in my wheelhouse, right?
So 30 to 32, highest points per game is 30 to 32-year-old tight ends.
And people, NFL offenses want those experienced tight ends that could come in and do their job. Because the tight ends got so many jobs they have to do. So, I love like waiting on tight ends and grabbing those guys who are going to be 27, 28. Because then I usually think like 27, 28, 29 are their peak years. You still get really good value at 30.
And I think this is where we need to combine data points because I think this gives us a beautiful picture then of the best way to attack tight end. So what do we know from before? We want to see a tight end be a top 6 tight end in their first 2 years. Mm-hmm. When they do that, like 90% of the guys that do that end up having multiple tight end top 6 years, 4 or more even on average typically. So if we combine that with knowing, hey, actually the peak years for tight ends, points per game wise, and some of the highest number of players in that age range or in that scoring range of top 6 guys is actually the 27 through 29 and 30 through 32.
So number 1, 27 to 29?
Yeah. So
that would have been my guess.
27 to 29 is the second highest scoring.
Oh, it is. So is the 30 plus
30 to 32 is the highest scoring.
Wow.
The highest scoring at 11.82 points per game. So I'll go through all of them. 21 to 23 is 10.36. And I did top 18 for tight end because I didn't want to go.
Okay.
Even that's generous.
That's still generous.
24 to 26, 11.3. 27 to 29, 11.68. 30 to 32, 11.82. So we're creeping towards 12 points per game there. And then after 33, it drops all the way back down to 10.48.
Yeah, deceased almost.
Yeah, so you have a few guys that can do it, the Kelce's and maybe Kittle and
Zach Ertz.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's that 27 to 32-year-old window is prime time for tight end. So if we can combine then, say, hey, I know that guys that get at least one top 6 season in the first 2 seasons are the most likely guys to hit, because most of the guys that don't do that don't end up hitting. Plus, maybe if a guy has just been like, okay, but he's only 26, 27, perfect example, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts did it early in his career. He hit that benchmark. Now he's entering that 26, 27. This is telling me that probably his peak years are actually the ones still coming up. Mm-hmm. So that only gives me more encouragement for some of those types of players. Or a Sam Laporta that maybe is going to be down. He's down a little bit right now.
He is.
And rightfully so. But maybe next offseason when the hype has like fully simmered down from where it was, maybe that's the time to then jump back in.
I love jumping in. I said 2 guys that jump out to me. One, Dallas Goedert's the one guy I already talked about. Like he's one of my favorite buys in Dynasty at the tight end position. Because his age is fine, because he's going to be a free agent this year. He's going to get signed. He's going to go to a contender. I could love seeing like Travis Kelce retire. Dallas Goedert goes to Chiefs. Sure. And another guy I think that kind of rings that bell too, that would surprise some people. I think Hunter Henry falls in that category.
How old is he now?
He's got to be, I think he's only like 29, 30. I think he's 30.
I'm curious now because, I honestly don't. It feels like he's been around forever, but maybe he hasn't.
He has been around for.
But he's been good. So he's 31 right now.
31. Okay. So that's 31 and a half. So he'll be 32. So this is like the end. He's getting to the end here.
He's getting to that end.
Holds value this year.
So he would be a great one to say like, hey, I'm going to draft him and Eli Raridan because Henry will be good for this year, maybe next year. And then Eli Raridan hopefully can come in
Goedert,
after.
31 and a half. Still got another year. And like you get 2 years out of Goedert, essentially too, which I kind of like. So they're both a little bit older than I thought.
Yeah,
but they're in that.
But they're still in that good window because this will be their age 31 season and then their age 32 season, and we're good to go. So, just so you guys know the percentages too, percentages of top 6 tight ends, we are only at 6.7 for 21 to 23-year-olds. So almost none of those early young tight ends are ever in the top 6, and even the guys that do it in their first year or second year are coming in at 23, 24 years old. A lot of times these are like older guys that are coming in. So if you get one of those, that is really rare to find. But then it skyrockets in 24 to 26, 31.7% of the guys there, 35% at 20 to 27 to 29. And then we drop down to 20% of the guys at 30 to 32. But I think that is just the natural kind of process of a player is good ones are lasting until the 30 to 32. And we're seeing their peak actually then points per game wise, but we're starting to lose some of them. We're only at 20% of those guys are in the top 6. So those elite guys are going to last long and be in that range. But the chunk of guys over 2/3 of the guys that are in the top 6 are usually age ranges of 24 to 29.
Yeah, I mean, and there's going to be names out there you can always find that are going to come in there and produce. Like Jacob Ferguson's going to enter there not too long. Mark Andrews is only 30 years old, which shows you get
He's
a couple
like
of
my
years.
favorite one right now, dude. I love Mark Andrews.
Yeah, well, we talked about him many times.
He's times this offseason.
He's a guy out there. I'm trying to think of a guy like Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, maybe.
29.
We'll see. Oscar Delp's getting some buzz, though.
He is, but he's 29. That's what I'm saying. Like, he just signed a little extension. I'm looking at just some older guys out there right now that like are obtainable.
Even Isaiah Likely.
He's 26, isn't he?
He's younger, but he's going to be getting into that because we said 27 to 29 and then 30 to 32 are the top 2 tiers. So
okay, yeah, you're right.
Just saying.
All right, that's a good episode. I love these data points.
Fun. Yeah, a little different. Data shows are a little different, but
they're always fun.
They're good.
They're
information.
also really highly well reviewed. So we appreciate everybody. We'll be back next week with Matt O'Hara, hopefully talking more Dynasty Fantasy Football.
See ya. If you have a Dynasty roster that you're trying to figure out what to do with, I have the perfect show for you. It's called Roster Rescue, and it's on our Dynasty Nerds YouTube page. We are live every single Wednesday from noon to about 2 o'clock talking about fantasy football teams that actually exist. And Rich and I break down what we do with these teams. Do we want to rebuild? What kind of trade should we make? Are we going all in? All of those types of things are on the table. And if you want to get your specific team on the show, all you have to do is go to dynastynerds.com, go under the Tools tab, and right under there, you're going to find the Roster Rescue button. It's under our premium services. You click that, and you can have your own roster discussed by Rich and I live on the air. Remember, that's live on the air every single Wednesday at noon.